A while back, I told you to beware of deliverance ministries and also for healing services at churches. And I made hand-drawn illustrations in which I've shown to you what's really going on behind the scenes with such ministries. Now, there are times a congregation comes together and people get healed. That happens, okay? But deliverance ministries and healing services, I'm telling you, watch out for it. Those are 95% of time, they're paranormal operations to distraction. Now, about deliverance ministries. I want to give a parable onto you for you to compare it to. Let's say now that one day you have this Portuguese army. Well, there's a map of South America in around 1800s, but okay. Let's say one day the Portuguese army marched to the south, to the border with Spanish America, because allegedly there were attacks from Spaniards on Portuguese territory. So the troops come. They arrive at the river, which is the border between Brazil and the Kingdom of Buenos Aires, which is a Spanish colony. When they arrive there, everything is abundant. The Spanish garrison is empty. Also the villages nearby are empty. So they think, great, we won. So they return back to Rio de Janeiro and they report to the viceroy that they've won. But then the viceroy gets suspicious. And the viceroy thinks, hold on a minute. When the jurisdiction of Buenos Aires, it has almost 60% of the number of the inhabitants of Brazil. Brazil has around 3.5 million people. The Spanish River Plate region has around 2.5 million people. And most of the Brazilians, of the 3.5 million, live in the south. Or like 2 million down here and 1.5 million spread across the territory. So the Spanish here are in the majority here in the south. And there were some attacks on our territory. And suddenly we arrived there to confront them and they're gone. The soldiers were rejoiced because they thought the Spanish gave up. But then the viceroy talked again, hold on a minute. Portugal in Europe is a tiny country compared to Spain. If Spain wanted to attack Portugal militarily, they could easily send a few squads across the Portuguese-Spanish border in Europe, and they could take over Portugal at any time. Why would the Spanish take all the effort in attacking us here in Brazil? So the viceroy kept thinking about it. The viceroy thought, no, this ain't right. This is a threat. And indeed it was there. What was going on? There were Creole Portuguese militias that dressed themselves as Spanish soldiers. They had the red and yellow Spanish flag with them, and they committed assaults on their own Portuguese people in the south of Brazil. They knew when they did this, people would think the Spanish assaulted them. And it was their, it was their motive to provoke the Portuguese in attacking Spain. Because those Portuguese militias knew that the Spanish had withdrawn troops from Buenos Aires to fight wars in Europe. So those Creole Portuguese militias knew if the Portuguese army in Brazil arrives here and they see that the garrisons are empty, they'll think they've won the victory and they'll annex this part of Buenos Aires, of the jurisdiction of Buenos Aires. And that was the goal of those Creole Portuguese militias. They wanted more land for themselves, but to cross the border into Spanish territory and claim the lands, they knew they would lose. So when the there was an opportunity, they tricked their own people in attacking Spain for them. So the viceroy didn't figure out the trick yet, but he knew something didn't add up here. Now, in this parable, it's obvious that something was wrong in the situation. It appeared so good. Yes, it did. It appeared very good indeed. But it wasn't true. It wasn't real. Now, what those Creole Portuguese militias did, that's how the enemy, that includes demon spirits and human predators in general, that's how they often operate. They look for an opportunity when there is some weakness, and then they will trigger certain people against you. And those people being triggered against you are not aware they're being triggered, they're being used. So those people will come at you, they're upset with you or whatever. And those people then are distracted themselves because they're upset with you. Meanwhile, the enemy or the predators behind the scenes are robbing those same people that are upset with you. But you're distracted by the people being angry with you. Well, the situation had nothing to do with you. You were just being used to rob those people. And those people think that they are alert because they want to get rid of you. They think you're the enemy, you're the cause, but it's not you. The enemy has robbed them. And it's only afterwards that they'll realize that they have been tricked. Now, does it often happen to people that they are being tricked? And the reason they're tricked because they don't evaluate the whole situation. That's why I'm teaching you always to look at the bigger picture. I can't say it enough. You need to learn to look at the bigger picture and use historical examples to assist you. What I just said, that parable just give unto you, such things often happens in the colonial area. When Creole Portuguese settlers assaulted their own Portuguese people and blamed on Spain. And the Portuguese local would think it's Spain coming after, but it wasn't Spain at all, it were their own. So, how do you anticipate such things? Just always, just like a Portuguese viceroy, evaluate the whole situation, and when you realize it doesn't end up, you don't just act on the opportunity. Look, I'm not contradicting myself here. When there's an opportunity that you can use for the good, you should use that opportunity. But there are certain opportunities which aren't opportunities at all. Which is just the enemy dragging you into a dangerous territory. Because in dangerous territory, he has better access to you. Going back to that parable, let's say the viceroy fell for it. He thought, you know what? The Spanish attack us, will show them that nobody messes with the Portuguese kingdom over here. What they went with the troops and occupied parts of the jurisdiction of Buenos Aires. What would happen then is that sooner or later the politicians in Buenos Aires would send documents to Spain informing the Spanish government that that Portugal in America occupied parts of Buenos Aires. And then there's going to be a chain reaction. Because then Spain is going to ask Portugal and Europe what's going on. Why do you occupy parts of our territory? Didn't we agree at the Treaty of Madrid in the 1760s that this is going to be our borders? And then both Spain and Portugal are distracted by this conflict, and meanwhile those the Creole Portuguese robbers are having their way over there. They're robbing the people, of Spanish people and Portuguese people. And here's another thing. There are French pirates that also often come there, and they realize that people are distracted and now they are going to loot also. That's how the enemy works. That's why it's always important to look further, to form a picture of a situation. Once you form a picture and you see the picture, it looks ugly, then you know something's wrong. Too often people only look at their own immediate needs. And they don't look at what drives those needs. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.